Hi everyone, chat about another video. Today I'm going to be doing a stock analysis on Microstrategy Inc. and more broadly talking about cryptocurrency, which is not something I normally get into on this channel, but is of course really important to the general economic environment. Microstrategy is an interesting company basically because it's just a bog standard software maker with not a ton of revenue, around 100 million a quarter, that decided to amass nearly $4 billion of Bitcoin for 130,000 Bitcoins at one point. Their average cost base sits around $30,000 as of recently, meaning they've took an enormous hit of around $1 billion. I want to establish whether this company is in trouble or not, because there's been talks about margin calls and things like that, and this company could really be in deep waters. So I want to analyse that, think of what I think of the company, and think of where it's going in the future. Looking at the Microstrategy stock chart, it makes for grim viewing, down 71% year to date from a high of around close to $600, I think it was $570 at the start of the year in January the 3rd, now just $162. Really an absolute precipitous drop, and this significant decline is pretty much because MicroStrategy is committed to the Bitcoin strategy, and since they've done this, they've been tethered to Bitcoin prices. Bitcoin is now around $22,000, $22,500 as I'm making this video. Been absolutely destroyed recently, particularly in June due to the problems with Celsius and to a lesser degree Binance, and of course earlier than that the capitulation of Terra Luna, and more broadly the macroeconomic environment and inflation has caused a lot of fears for investors. But MicroStrategy stock has absolutely capitulated due to this because of the increasing dependence on Bitcoin prices, and this is not good news for the company. Paper losses are one thing, but what is really concerning is that Bitcoin is getting down. If it gets down towards below $21,000, then MicroStrategy may receive a margin call on its $205 million loan from Silvergate Capital, which is secured against nearly 20,000 Bitcoins. This is really worrying for MicroStrategy, and this is the news that has caused a precipitous decline recently, and CEO Michael Saylor has been speaking about this, and they've tried to alleviate the concerns. As goes the saying, the rich don't really go broke like the rest of us, and if the margin call were to trigger, there would actually be rather a demand for extra capital. This is what Fong Li was saying, the MicroStrategy president. Even though Bitcoin briefly dropped below, it was steadied at $22,000. It's unclear if this has any significant consequences for MicroStrategy in the short term, but what will most likely happen is they'll have to put up more Bitcoin as collateral against the loan, and they won't get margin called in the immediate short term. MicroStrategy mentioned that they have another nearly 96,000 unencumbered Bitcoin they could use as extra collateral, and at today's price or yesterday's price, that's around over $2 billion. Now, of course, this is not ideal for MicroStrategy. They would much prefer to have this Bitcoin unencumbered and not as collateral. However, they really don't want a margin call. And thankfully, Mark Palmer reiterated, who's a digital asset research company, they see no circumstances in which MicroStrategy is going to need to sell any of its Bitcoin holdings, because it's just going to continually increase that collateral package. Although in the short term this solves some problems, in the longer term, if Bitcoin prices continue to decline, this could be a serious problem for MicroStrategy. Here are some charts from the most recent quarterly report that just show how deep this company is in Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy and Macrostrategy are effectively the same company. Macrostrategy is a subsidiary of MicroStrategy, and it effectively just holds the Bitcoins. As of the most recent quarter, it was holding 115,000 Bitcoins out of the total of 129,000 for the company. The cost basis has crept up over this time. They tend to buy at decent prices. You can see the orange square is the higher market price per Bitcoin during the quarter. The green is the market price, and the line is the cumulatively average purchase price, and the blue is the lowest market price per Bitcoin. So they tend to be at the very least below where the market price is, and the cumulative average purchase price or cost basis is now over $30,000, which is a significant premium to what the price is today, around $22,500. So that's nearly 30% off today's price. That's a serious problem for a company that the majority of its value is stored in Bitcoin. It's easily forgotten that MicroStrategy isn't just a Bitcoin company, but in total honesty, the software company, the legacy software company that it is not a good one. Its total revenues of just shy of 120 million for the quarter. It's a decrease of 3% or almost flat on a constant currency basis. It's not really done anything over the longer term to warrant it being an investable company on a software basis. This revenue is basically flat over the last couple of years. They're making a non-GAAP operating loss of 155 million, partly because of a massive Bitcoin impairment expense of $170 million. Product licenses revenues decreased 22% year over year. This is a struggling company that holds a lot of Bitcoin on margin and it's not something that I would be willing to invest in. Of course, at current Bitcoin prices of $22,500, they have roughly 130,000. This is a $2.4 billion company. The market cap of all the Bitcoin it holds is $2.9 billion. So there's a little bit of an arbitrage opportunity here. They're basically saying that just MicroStrategy holding it, the market is valuing that as minus $500 million or so dollars, just because MicroStrategy holds the Bitcoin rather than it being a Bitcoin, which is definitely interesting. There could be an arbitrage opportunity here, but I'm just not willing to invest in a company that's like this. And Michael Saylor, the CEO, often has a lot to say. He's a real voice in the cryptocurrency community. I think it's definitely interesting to see what he has to say. And the most recent things he's had to say is this. In #Bitcoin we trust. Pretty simple, shows his long-term commitment to Bitcoin, but in reality, I don't think they have much choice. They're highly leveled towards Bitcoin, the stock is tethered to its price, and the legacy software business is not doing that much. Very little growth over the last few years. So they're, of course, keeping faith in Bitcoin because they don't have much else to do. They're looking at a $1 billion paper loss if they were to sell now, and some very unhappy loan providers. With that being said, I think Bitcoin will come back in the future. I think for those willing to risk some financial loss, there is a decent arbitrage opportunity here, with the market cap being 2.4 billion or 2.5 billion, and the total value of the Bitcoins it holds nearly 3 billion. So of course, a decent arbitrage opportunity here. However, it's not something I will be investing in, as I simply think there's too much risk, and the macroeconomic environment and the attitudes towards crypto at the minute are probably at an all-time low, or the lowest we've seen since Bitcoin hit its lows post the initial rise. So I'm going to stay away from this company for now. But of course, you should do your own research and due diligence, not just listen to what I say. Let me know what you think about MicroStrategy in the comments below. Let me know what you think about crypto, the crypto market crash, the current market crash. Anything you want to say, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content and want to support the channel, and I'll see you again next time.